Okay, so this was not a planned video. Trust me, I do have a ReZero Arc 9 Phase 2 and 3 discussion theory video coming in the ways. I was kind of think of it because, I've had other projects to work on, other stuff for, go watch Studio Reverie because they're pretty fun. And yeah, I've had other things, but I haven't forgotten about Arc 9. And all the stuff I said still stands. Arc 9 quite literally changed ReZero forever. And the prologue to Volume 41 not only does apply to that title of this changes it forever, but this fundamentally changes everything we ever knew to such a degree that I just genuinely have too much to say. So I'm going to try to organize my words and just get to the point on what I'm trying to go with. And as the title fucking implies. Aldebaran. What do I think? Aldebaran, we have 25 years, I believe, before, 25 years before the main story. And it is confirmed that the person right here is not Subaru, it's Aldebaran. And he looks like Subaru, including the tracksuit, having the exact same attire that he had from arcs 1 through 5. So, what the hell does that give? Is this finally saying to us that Al equals Subaru? Yeah, kinda. I mean, what else is there? They're still hiding the face, so something about the face is suspicious. Like, Tape, come on, why are we keeping doing this? Is it because you don't want to flat out say completely that, yes, Aldebaran is Subaru? Or is there something else? Is there something that we're not aware of? Also, Aldebaran calls Echidna, and this is Dream Echidna, keep in mind, the one we met in Arc 4. He calls her Sensei, and not only that, but her Dream Echidna dreaming is kind of funny, but her saying that she is a failure just as much as he is finally makes me be able to puzzle a few things that of Aldebaran and Subaru. Subaru is Pleiades, the whole stars thing. Aldebaran's name is following the star. And not only is that a lot more interesting in retrospect, but the fact of the matter is that Aldebaran is following Subaru because he is probably a clone or some other, maybe an if version that somehow came into existence. I doubt the if version, but we'll get to a theory on to that in a little bit. But considering that Echidna has done cloning and stuff with the Ryuzu Mayor and all that fun jazz, I wouldn't doubt it that this is a clone of Natsuki Subaru. But the problem comes down to Natsuki Subaru doesn't arrive until, current day, and this takes place in the past. So that technically means that this is connected to Flugel in some way. So, is it possible that Flugel is Subaru, and Aldebaran is a clone of Subaru, which is Flugel? That is more possible now, because we still don't know much about Flugel himself, outside of the stuff we heard about in Arc 6. But there's a few things. One, he's a jackass. Two, I mean, he has some things with the stars, so there's that. And three, he definitely was a sage. Subaru is not a jackass, luckily. He's grown. He is a sage candidate. And interestingly enough, he knows about stars. And there was something else that caught my attention now that I'm, piecing a few things together. Tape had said if Subaru came into the world with, powers and stuff, he would eventually go nuts and force Reinhardt to come into the mix. What if Flugel is Subaru, but he had the powers, turned into a big, giant jackass, and then somehow was gone and his soul was able to replicate Aldebaran, and then he came back and as Natsuki Subaru many, many years later. That's a theory I'm gonna have at this point, is that Flugel has to be involved in some way. But focusing on Aldebaran, the fact that Dream Echidna is saying that she's as much of a failure he is, she's probably referring to the real Echidna, that she is a failure to live up to that, and while Aldebaran is much of a failure that he couldn't live up to being, Natsuki Subaru, which is what he looks like. So, not only that, but we've gotten a lot of hints. I mean, they're both isekai'd. They both called Beatrice Byaku, because in the little chibi versions, Aldebaran calls Beatrice Byaku, even though I doubt he's ever heard Subaru call her that. So it was very suspicious. Their heights are the same, their hair color is the same, their eye color is the same. It was just suspicious. And then that fucking thing in season 3 with the eyes where they brighten it up on his helmet and you can see like it's like Subaru's eyes. Like everything is pointing that Subaru and Aldebaran are one and the same of sorts. But that Aldebaran is somehow a fake, a clone. I mean, a failure would mean a clone. But there is also the other if roots. Now, I do find it interesting, and I said I bring. What if it was a different if route Subaru that came into play? And I only say that because a lot of how Aldebaran interacts with his group almost feels similar to his other if versions of Natsuki Subaru. And if he were to have some hatred for Rem for some reason, in that one failed loop in season 1 that they didn't show it properly, but the fucking stupid Prophecy of the Throne did.
Know your fucking place, trash.
There is a possibility that that's probably Wrath if Subaru, because he would definitely hate Rem, but he wouldn't know about Rem either. So that could also be Pride if Subaru, because I mean, he would know about Rem, but he probably wouldn't. He probably heard of Rem, but didn't give a shit. Who knows? It could be an amalgamation of a bunch of the if roots. But my main thing was, Aga Now If showed us adult Subaru, 20 years later Subaru, and he looks like Aldebaran. He has the same attire, he lost an arm, and he's just missing the helmet. And it's very interesting that I think Tappei has been hinting at for as much as he could, but eventually, just as we're getting close to the reveal, it's being obvious. Unless he does some big twist that he's not really Natsuki Subaru, he's something else. I would be shocked. But yeah, Aldebaran is a Natsuki Subaru. Is he a clone? I think so. Because the whole failure thing kind of brings into light. As well as the fact that it makes me think of Ryuzu Shima. Or was it? Yeah, Ryuzu Shima was considered a failure because it went into the trials and when it shouldn't, it broke the rules and stuff. Like, this all connects back to Arc 4 and all the stuff with Echidna. There's so much to kind of go over without me kind of going all over the place. But if it's true, and Aldebaran, then that means that Natsuki Subaru Aldebaran, or I guess Aldebaran with his bootleg Return by Death, could also mean that he had the same issue that Subaru had in Arc 7, where maybe he had Return by Death, but it started malfunctioning, like it did for Subaru. But unlike with Subaru, how he fixed it, Aldebaran couldn't, and now he's stuck with, well, the worst version of Return by Death. But then again, his thing works differently. And not only that, but he was a gladiator in Wallachia. And the fact of the matter is, Subaru was turned into a kid before going with the gladiators. So I'm kind of suspicious as to why Tappei has made it so that way Subaru was not in his like adult form when he met all of the gladiators. Almost like if he had, they would have recognized him because of Aldebaran. Not only that, but Priscilla understood of Subaru and Aldebaran's abilities. That's why she kind of permadead, because she basically told Subaru, no, don't return by death. Well, not actually saying it, but like I said, it's just too much suspicion. How much did Priscilla knew? How did she figure it out is the big question. But there is another thing that this reminds me of then. Because if his mission is to get rid of Natsuki Subaru, I'm getting... If there was something I could connect this with that I'm getting a vibes with, is probably Replica Riku, or Riku Replica, from Kingdom Hearts, specifically in Rechain of Memories. And I'll play the clip that I'm thinking.
You've changed. Your own darkness. It doesn't frighten you anymore. How can you tell? Because I'm you. No, I'm me. I'm me, he says. Must be nice being real. A fake like me could never get away with saying that. That's right. I'm a phony. A fake! The way I look, the way I feel, everything I remember. And even this newfound power. I thought by finding some new strength, I could finally be someone who's not at all you. But nothing changes. I'm still just empty. Everything about me is borrowed. As long as you're around, I'll never be more than a shadow!
I don't think it's to this extent, but I think that the matter of fact is, Aldebaran is a failed version of Natsuki Subaru. Having Natsuki Subaru there is just a constant reminder that, well, he's the failure version. So if he gets rid of Natsuki Subaru, he can take the place again and try to be Natsuki Subaru. Because the big goal from a lot of the side stories of the Priscilla camp is that Aldebaran kind of fears Satella, and I would theorize that his goal is to kill her, while Subaru's goal had changed from killing her to saving her. So there's a lot of differences there. But the fact of the matter is, there are two Natsuki Subarus that can only be one. And it's unclear whether the Natsuki Subaru we've been following is a clone, is the real one. It has to be the real one for sure, because Satella loves this Natsuki Subaru. Apologies. But so that means that this, once again, involves Flugel, and considering the whole Souls thing and stuff with, like, Ryuzu Mayer, Akina being somehow involved in, well, she's involved in creating the clones and stuff, but she's probably involved with both Aldebaran and Natsuki Subaru. I'm kind of thinking, what is it that Flugel... How is Flugel involved in this? I just can't wrap my head around that Flugel isn't involved in some way. But, yeah, overall, with Aldebaran being a Natsuki Subaru clone, that's the theory I'm going to go with, or another version of Natsuki Subaru that's there, I am genuinely curious where Teppei is going with this, because eventually Natsuki Subaru has to encounter this. Now, we're probably going to first get Petra with Arc 4 Natsuki Subaru Ghost first encounter Aldebaran's reveal of being a Natsuki Subaru. So we're going to get what Arc 4 would have like reacted. And then we're probably going to get Arc 9 Natsuki Subaru, like our main one, eventually react to it. Or the big reset could happen, and then you'll be able to defeat Aldebaran somehow. But that's the big reset theory. I'm not going to go over that in this video. That'll be a next video thing. But overall, I am genuinely curious. What do you guys think? Like, this is pretty damn shocking. This changes the game even more than I thought. But anyway, this is Goon291 signing out. Peace.